What is up, everyone? Um, it is episode 6 for my Power Word review, my podcast for Power Word Fail review, and it is going great. I have not wanting to do this, so let's jump right into it. Introductions kick off, and I do love a good introduction, but we do get to Katie, and she sounds a little funny, like she's having a microphone or audio issues. It kind of throws off a little bit. Um, but besides that, going right into the episode, the group talks. The groups end up talking to the trees after like the battle. The trees were like, "Hey, you kind of like attacked us. First of all, you attacked us, and then you killed forest creatures." So Ferric was like, things in the forest kill forest creatures all the time, so I don't see what the problem is here. The trees was like, yeah, but it's our forest and you're in it, so you can listen to it or we can continue this. And there's more of us than of you. So they apologize and they talk to the trees for a little bit, and then they loot the body of the trees that they have already killed. So whatever. um, they convinced the trees that they're just passing through, so they ended up going through going through the forest. Uh, Along the way, they try to figure out what Poppet is. He is I think an imp. I think I said an imp before. Poppet likes Spunk, and Spunk doesn't really like not like Poppet, but he just doesn't really like see him as a threat or anything. So he's just like, whatever, you know. So Poppet ends up liking him, rubbing up against him, doing cat like things to him. They move forward, not to upset the forest because they don't want to hang around in the same place or anything like that. Christopher first battle. That was, they got Christopher tagging along with them for some reason instead of dropping him off at the orphanage or taking him back to his other family. I don't know. But his first battle didn't go too well. He didn't do too much. I don't think he actually did anything. But they talked to him afterwards, and I guess he was not okay. Um, they set up camp for the night. They did a watch list and everything. Excuse me. As a DM, I love when they set up camp, but my players, they got in the habit of taking tiny hut, and I guess my enemies just need to start knowing dispel magic, but they'll take tiny hut, and that's basically like an impenetrable shield. Uh at night, Ambrose tends to turn invisible. He has a cloak of invisibility, I'm guessing, and he puts it on and he starts doing stuff. So I guess if anybody ever sneaks up on them at night, he'll be invisible, which I think is pretty cool and pretty smart. I don't know how he got that item starting out, but that is a pretty cool item to like not have an encounter at night and not be snuck up on. Um, Night goes out. Night the camping at night goes without a problem. Nobody gets ambushed. Nobody gets set up or anything like that. Um, Pickles paints on Miraz's face while he sleeps, so he wakes up to paint on his face, and he's just like, "Oh, Pickles." He's been traveling with her for like 4 months, so he's used to it at this point. Uh, and this is when they start to get up. Evangeline tells Poppet to be nicer to people because he was straight up just like, "I'm an evil creature and I will kill you all or not help if my life is on the line." So he's just like, "I am primordial evil and you will fear me one day." And everybody was just like, "That thing's evil. We should kill it." So Evangeline was just like, "Hey, you gotta learn to like chill out." You find out Poppet can talk in its cat form. Uh, Evangeline treats it just like a regular kitty cat. She's like smooching it under the chin and stuff, just like, "Look, oh, you cute little cat." But he says he'll try, whatever. Immediately fails. Spoiler alert. Ferric talks to Evangeline about Poppet, and right after she talked to Poppet about being nicer, and Ferric was just like, "What is it?" And then she's like, "It's my cat." "No, but what is it?" "It's Poppet." No. What is it? She dodges the questions, of course. Christopher wakes up and he talks to Spunk about being a better hero. Spunk still doesn't believe in this boy. He's like, cobbler, man. Cobbler. You can be a cobbler and it will be like way better for you. But Christopher ain't having it. He's just like, hey, Spunk gave a perfect analogy. He's like, you know how like you have an uphill battle? Well, you, Christopher, you're climbing up a mountain without any gear while condors are pecking at your back, barehanded and butt naked. And then Christopher's like, so you're saying there still is a chance? One thing I do want to point out about like this group, this campaign, they have the habit of setting precedents for something. Um, Before Carlos can. So like they'll be talking to an NPC, and then the NPC will ask them a question, and he'll be like, "Oh, why do you look so angry?" Or like they'll just set a precedence for that NPC, and then Carlos will just roll with it. Or like they'll set a precedence for precedence for like a building or a place, and be like, "Oh yeah, my grandma used to go there. I know that place real well." Or I don't know. I don't have a good example right there, but they do that a lot, and I love how Carlos can just roll with it, just like, "Oh yeah, yeah, that's a thing that happens," and blah blah blah. Um, Pickles does not want to get up, so Ferric offers to scoop her and carry her while she sleeps. And Pickles gives Ferric permission to scoop. I mean, is there scooping? What's going on there? So they travel on the road, and they travel on the road. They Mirage starts looking for sellers or like traders passing by, and they find this one trader. He's like a magical seller, magical trader, whatever you want to call them. His name is Zanzibar. Let me tell you something. Zanzibar is Doofenshmirtz from Phineas and Ferb. Go back, just find a clip of Phineas and Ferb, Doofenshmirtz. Listen to him talk, and then listen to Carlos play Zanzibar. He is Doofenshmirtz. You can't even sidetracked. Oh crap! All right. Side note. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Phineas and Ferb characters, Doofenshmirtz. I need who plays Doofenshmirtz. Dan Povenmire? Povenmire? Meyer? Dan Povenmire. Dan Povenmire. That's a funny way to spell Carlos. That is a funny way to spell Carlos, because that is definitely Carlos. Yep, definitely Carlos. I Dan Povenmire. Definitely Carlos. Anyway, they meet Zanzibar. He sounds just like Doofenshmirtz. Um, they're going through his wares and like talking to him about stuff. He is just really weird and odd, and he has this horse that just looks bad. Just looks like a bad horse. Um, the horse name is Strudel. Why is that important? Because Evangeline ends up casting suggestion on Zanzibar to buy this horse that he did not want to sell to her for an IOU of 500 gold from her father, which was pretty cool. I mean, I've always wanted my players to do stuff like that, like so they can get their way. But she ends up casting that. Christopher gives Zanzibar a dingleberry. It's horrible. He doesn't like it, of course. Who likes these dingleberries? Evangeline I already said that, but she casts suggestion on Zanzibar. Zanzibar does tell them, "Hey, watch out for Strudel. That might be a problem for you later on." And they're just like, "What?" And he leaves. They walk out. They walk up to this town where they hear rumors of a dragon. If it's Pharaoh, they don't know. If it's another dragon, they don't know. They kind of just start hearing these rumors. Um, they're in a town called Northwatch, and they find out that it is controlled by a guy named Zales, and he he's straight a dictator. It's like every time they ask a question, the guard's like, blah 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 blah. Lord Zales is in charge. All may hate. All hell Lord Zales or something like that. And every time they say it, Spunk's like, all hell Lord Zales. He's like, God dang it! And it's like it's a catchy phrase, you know. But this is where you find out information about this town. But apparently, they don't want anybody or anything coming in or out with information about the outside world that could like. They're like the I want to say the Soviet Union. Um, can't think. They're like the dictatorship or whatever. South Korea, North Korea, one of the Koreas. I think it's South Korea. But you can't come in with information to like change the dictatorship of this place. A guy tells them to go to the Moonbeam Inn. Um, Very suspiciously, the guy's just like, "Oh, you're adventurous. You should go to the Moonbeam Inn. What's there? Nobody knows." Seems like the guards trying to keep out information because they this guy was bringing in something, and they were just like, "Oh, you're bringing out outside information? No, we're gonna have to destroy this." And Ferric, for some reason, steps in. It's like, "Oh, let's not. This is very valuable." Of course, he's lying out his tail feathers, but he begins to convince the guards not to destroy this information, this book that he was bringing in. I think it was like a spell book or something. I don't know. But this town is completely under Lord Zale's control. The team decides not to go into the town and they start backtracking. And that is where the episode ends. So we're going to get right to the point here. Katie's audio was bad throughout the whole episode. Um, I don't know if she was at her computer or at her mic or was just having mic troubles. I'm really unaware, but listening to an audio podcast with no visuals, that kind of throws off the immersion. So that's a real big hit because that's the main thing of what they're trying to do. I mean, what they're trying to do is tell a story, but on the platform that they're trying to do it, that throws it off. So that's a big hit. Uh, they did a little bit of traveling, kept me interested. They did a lot of like lore. I wouldn't say a lot. It was more role play than lore. And the difference between when I say that is like the characters kind of talking and amongst themselves and like just fill the scenes. Where lore is like when Carlos is like, here's some major information that you need to be paying attention to. So there was a lot of that. It was a good mix, I would say. Traveling, you didn't even know they were traveling when they were traveling. Uh, what else is there? I'm enjoying Christopher time. I do feel like that is a way to get the DMs to play. They didn't fight anything, and they got to the end. The trees dropped an important name on them, so I think there's still not much happening here. There's still not much happening. There's just a little bit of what's going on. Like I feel like Carlos is trying to drop little things here and there, but it's still just like the story's not. It's moving slowly. It's progressing slowly. So I don't have a problem with everything else. The players are still awesome. The role play is still awesome. Ferrick was the MVP of this episode. He stood out the most. Um, I'm gonna have to give this episode a 7 hit dice out of 10. And I know I changed my score last time, but this one, the audio was like real major. This episode, I don't want to say it was the worst, but the bad audio from Katie kind of threw. And then I was like, man, am I hearing an echo from? And Cody is their audio engineer, and I don't know if there was nothing he could do to fix it, or like if it was, but it just started feeling like it was coming from everybody, like it was just sitting there. So that kind of like took me out of the immersion of it, and that's a big thing. And then I still feel like we're not progressing, like we're learning information but we're not progressing just yet, or we're just doing it so slowly that it just feels like we're not really moving. um but that is it. I mean, besides that, like the episodes are solid. I still haven't had a major gripe. um I use the my anime list grading system. Pull it up real quick before I go out. My anime list is the grading system is all right. 10 out of 10 is a masterpiece. 9 out of 10 is great. 8 8 out of 10 is very good. 7 out of 10 is good. 6 is fine. 5 is average. 4 is bad. 3 is very bad. 2 is horrible. And 1 is appalling. So they are still, I mean, they're still, 7 is still good. So don't be like, oh, it's a 7, that episode's bad. No, it's still good. It's just that there was some major, every time Katie talked, I was just like, oh, yeah, that is a thing. It's just kind of like that bad itch behind your neck, and you're just like, ah. But anyway, that is episode 6, 7, 8. I wish I was on 8. That was episode 1, 2, 5, 6, 6. That was episode 6. We will do episode 7 tomorrow. I have been enjoying doing these things and re-listening to the episodes. I hope that you have been enjoying me talking about them. Sorry that is not much of a review, but I do enjoy doing this. So if you want to hear more, you want to hear different podcasts, recommend them, subscribe, and hope to hear from you soon. Just remember, you are brain fart. You matter, you're important, and you are loved. Hey, you have a good day. Good night. It is 1 a.m. here. You have a good night. Bye.